What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it is time to officially give you my 2024 SEC football predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. So a couple days ago, I completed all my team predictions for every single Power 4 team and every single Power 4 conference. So now with that being said, we're going to show you what the standings look like based on my predictions for all the Power 4 teams, and we're going to do every single Power 4 conference. We're going to start with the SEC for today, and then tomorrow we'll have the Big Ten, and then on Wednesday we'll do the Big 12, and then we'll close things out with the ACC on Thursday. So that's what the schedule is going to look like here for all the Power 4 conferences. So we'll start with the SEC here. I'm going to show you what the standings look like based on my predictions for every single team in the SEC, and then at the end of every single video in the Power 4 conferences, I'm going to give you my conference championship prediction and predict the conference championship game. So that's what we're going to do here at the end of this SEC video. So let's go ahead and get right into it here with these standings, and I'll show you what the standings look like based on my predictions, and I'll give you my conference championship game prediction as well at the end of this video. So let's get started here. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So we start here with 13 through 16. I got Vanderbilt at number 16 and Mississippi State here at number 15. Both of these teams, I have them predicting to go 3-9 and 0-8 here in the conference. You look at Vanderbilt, just not really going to have a talented roster this year. I think they're definitely going to be the worst team in the SEC once again. They have been stuck at the bottom of the SEC. It looked like the program was going to head in the right direction a couple years ago, but this year, or I should say last year, it really wasn't, a really good season for them. So now they are stuck at the bottom of the SEC once again. And they do have a tough schedule. They have a pretty tough non-conference game against Virginia Tech in the opener. I have them losing that game, so I do have them going 3-9 and 0-8 in their conference. And their schedule is pretty tough in the SEC, so that's the reason why I got Vanderbilt going winless. If there's one game on there that Vanderbilt can probably win, it's that South Carolina game that's in the month of November. Maybe they can get an SEC win there, but I just don't really see them winning a conference game this year. And then Mississippi State, first-year head coach for them. They come in here at number 15. They lost a ton of guys from last year, either from the transfer portal or maybe due to the coaching change and everything. Will Rogers is gone at quarterback, so the quarterback position might be a concern for Mississippi State. Maybe the offense will be pretty solid because they're getting an offensive-minded head coach. Defensively, you got some question marks there, and I think that's a big concern here for the Bulldogs. And plus, their schedule is very tough in the SEC. They have very tough road games against some of the top teams in the SEC, and that's the reason why I got them going 0-8 here in conference play. And I also got them losing to Arizona State in the non-conference. That's the reason why as well that team, or this Mississippi State team, is predicted to go 3-9 for me. So both Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, what really came down to the tiebreaker here is that I think Mississippi State would beat Vanderbilt. That's just really what it came down to for me, and also the schedule's kind of, played out for a reason as well. But again, Mississippi State, I think, has a more tougher schedule than Vanderbilt does, but I think Mississippi State would beat Vanderbilt if they were able to meet in the regular season. But again, I got both of these teams predicting to go 3-9. I got Arkansas here at number 14, predicted to go 4-8 and 1-7 here in the conference. I got Arkansas beating Mississippi State. That's the reason why they ended up ahead of Mississippi State here on these standings. You look at this Arkansas team, I don't think they're going to be really bad. I think they'll definitely be better than that 4-8 record. I think the offense will be a lot better compared to last year and definitely the last couple years at Arkansas. You got Bobby Petrino coming over as the offensive coordinator. But if Arkansas can't really turn things around, this might be a really bad season for them. And the reason why that record is at 4-8, I had a really hard time with the Razorbacks prediction. They do have a tough schedule in the SEC. They also got a non-conference game against Oklahoma State, and that game will be on the road. So that's the reason why I got Arkansas predicting to go 4-8 instead of 5-7. And again, that's a very tough schedule that they had for 2024. It's another tough schedule for them in the last couple years. Make it 3 years in a row now for Arkansas with a tough schedule. But again, I got Arkansas here at number 14. I do expect this team to make it to a bowl game, but again, based on their schedule, it's obviously, it's not going to be even close to making it to a bowl game in my opinion, but they probably will prove me wrong, so you never know. But again, I think that offense for Arkansas will be be pretty solid. And again, I'm really concerned about the defense, but I got them here at number 14. And then I got Oklahoma here at number 13, predicted to go 6-6 and 2-6 here in the conference, getting a couple wins here in the SEC in their first year. I don't think Oklahoma is going to be really bad. I think I definitely do expect them to be a lot better than that 6-6 record, but they also have a very tough schedule. You look at these teams from 13 to 16, all these teams right here that you're seeing at the bottom have very tough schedules. That's the reason some of these other teams that you're going to see here in just a little bit have ended up being at the bottom of the SEC. But again, back to Oklahoma, I'm really concerned about the offense. So they're going to have a new quarterback this year. That also could be a concern there for Oklahoma, but the defense should overall be pretty solid. They got a lot of talent on that defensive side of the football, and of course they have a defensive-minded head coach as well. So I got Oklahoma, though, going to a bowl game in their first year in the SEC, but again, I do expect them to be a lot better than that 6-6 record. But these are the standings here from 13 to 16. Let's go on now, 7 through 12. At the bottom, I got South Carolina at number 12, predicting to go 6-6 and 3-5 here in the conference. I do expect South Carolina to turn it around this year, but a lot of people are not really high on this team. I'm not really that high on them. I'm quite high on them, but not really as high as some other people might think. South Carolina, though, a lot of concerns on the offensive side of the football. New quarterback and everything. Spencer Rattler, of course, was really a good quarterback for this South Carolina team in the last couple years. So with him gone, the quarterback position does really concern me. And then you look at the defense. I think South Carolina could be pretty solid on the defensive side of the football. Not as solid as Oklahoma's defense, but that will be the strength of this team. And they got Clemson in the non-conference. I mean, that's obviously very tough every year. Of course, you got to play the Tigers every year in the non-conference because that's their rivalry game. But I do have them going to a bowl game, but they also have a pretty tough schedule. And I wouldn't really be surprised if South Carolina maybe finished like 5-7 and close to the bottom of the SEC, in my opinion. But again, I got them going to a bowl game, predicting to go 6-6 and 3-5 here in the conference. And we actually have three teams tied here at 3-5 in the conference. We got Kentucky and Florida, both at number 10 and number 11, though. Kentucky predicting to go 7-5, and then Florida here at 7-5 as well. Florida, I got them beating Kentucky in the regular season matchup, so that's the reason why the tiebreaker ended up being in Florida's favor. You look at Kentucky, though, this is going to be a pretty decent team. The offensive side of the football, you got Brock Vandergrift, the transfer quarterback from Georgia. We'll see how good he's going to be on this offense for Kentucky. The offense, for Kentucky last year, the passing game was definitely a weakness. Let's see if they can improve that passing game a little bit this year. And then the defensive side of the football, they should overall be pretty solid. They got some decent amount of players on that side of the football, and they also brought in some playmakers from the transfer portal as well. So I think Kentucky should be right there, around 6, 7, 8 wins, somewhere in that range. They're a very consistent team in the SEC. And then Florida at number 10, I know that Florida has the toughest schedule in the country and everything, but I do expect this team to make it to a bowl game this year. I think there's a possibility that they can make it to a bowl game. I don't really expect them to get to 9 wins though, and definitely 8 wins just because of how the schedule plays out. I do got them beating Miami in the non-conference and also beating UCF in the non-conference. So if they win those 2 non-conference games, Florida might go to a bowl game. But if they don't win those non-conference games, for example, if they lose to Miami in that season opener, I think Florida goes on to have a bad year. But if they beat Miami, I do expect them to go to a bowl game. And this team does have talent. They do have Graham Mertz coming back at quarterback. And again, they got some playmakers on the offensive side of the football. So I think offensively for Florida, they're going to be really good. And I think the defense could be pretty solid as well. So again, Florida, I have them going to a bowl game, even with the toughest schedule in the country, and definitely the SEC. So I got them predicting to go 7-5 and going to a bowl game. And then Texas A&M and Auburn come in at number 8 and number 9. I got Auburn beating Texas A&M in the regular season matchup. Texas A&M comes in at 8-4 and 4-4 in the conference. Mike Elko now takes over. We'll see how good this Texas A&M team is going to be. You got Connor Weidman back at quarterback. If he stays healthy, Texas A&M might have a chance to make, be a top contender in the playoff coming up this year. And also, I think this is a top 25 team. Again, I think the Aggies are going to be a well-coached team team. Again, they have a lot of, players coming back, and they have a lot of talent on this roster as well. So, again, I think Texas A&M is going to be a pretty solid team and also a pretty decent team and a well-coached team. That's the reason why they're sitting here at number 9. Their schedule is not all that horrible. They don't really have any tough, they have a non-conference game against Notre Dame and everything. If they win that game, they can probably go on to have a really good season and probably make the playoff. But if they don't win that game, they probably can have like a average type season, especially for a first-year head coach. But again, I got Texas A&M beating Notre Dame in that matchup, so that's the reason why you're seeing them. You're seeing them here at 8-4. So I got them here at number 9, and then Auburn comes in here at number 8. Hugh Freeze second year, I have them going 8-4 and 4-4 here in the conference. I think Auburn's going to be a pretty good team this year. I think they're definitely going to be a lot better than they were last season, and definitely a little bit more competitive against some of the top teams in the SEC. Hugh Freeze is a pretty good recruiter. I think he's also going to have a pretty explosive offense. You got Peyton Thorne back at quarterback, and they also brought in some other transfers to help them out. So I think Auburn's going to be definitely better this year, and that's the reason why you're seeing them here at 8-4 and also number 8 here on this standings. And then I got Missouri here at number 7, obviously the most surprised team in the SEC last year. I got them predicting to go 9-3 and 5-3 here in the conference. So a little bit of a step back here for the Missouri Tigers. They do lose quite a bit on the defensive side of the football, so the defense might take a step back from where they were, the year before. And then, of course, the offensive side of the football, they should be pretty decent. You got Brady Cook, of course, coming back at quarterback, so I think the offense will definitely, really be good for them. The running game is obviously not going to be the same as it was last year, but they got some explosive receivers here on the offensive side of the football. So Missouri predicting to go 9-3 and 5-3 here in the conference. I think this team is a top 25 team as well. So that is my standings here from 7 through 12. All right, let's go to the top 6 now. These are pretty much the top contenders, in my opinion, for the SEC this year. I got Alabama here at number 6 at the bottom, predicting to go 9-3 and 5-3 in the conference. I do have Alabama beating Missouri in the regular season matchup, so that's the reason why the tiebreaker came down and everything. Alabama, Kalen DeBoer now takes over. Jalen Milroe is back at quarterback. I think the offense is going to be very explosive, especially when Kalen DeBoer's offensive background that he had at Washington last year. But I am concerned about the defense for Alabama. Now, they do have a tough schedule this year. They got to play Tennessee, LSU, both on the road this year, and they also got to play Georgia on the schedule. The good news is they get that game at home, so if they can win that game, I think Alabama might have a chance to probably win the SEC title. But if they lose to Georgia and everything, I don't really expect them to reach that SEC championship this year. Again, this is not going to be the same Alabama teams that we've seen over the course of the years under the Nick Saban era, but we'll see how good of a job that Kalen DeBoer does and everything for this Alabama team. I still think either way, this is going to be a really talented roster, but again, just not the same Alabama teams that we've seen over the years. But again, I got Alabama going 9-3 and 5-3 in the conference, and also on their schedule, they do got Wisconsin on the road and everything. I got them winning that game. I was very close to picking Wisconsin in that one, but I think Alabama's a slightly better team than Wisconsin is, so I got the Crimson Tide here at number 6. And then I got Tennessee, Ole Miss, and LSU all tied here for the number 3 spot at 10-2. And then 6-2 here in the conference. Tennessee doesn't play Ole Miss or LSU in the regular season, but this kind of came down to talent-wise. I think LSU and Ole Miss are definitely more talented teams than Tennessee is, in my opinion. And also, it really came down to schedules because Tennessee does play NC State in the non-conference. I do have them winning that game. And then also, they got Georgia on the schedule, which they almost play every year, and also Alabama as well. And again, that's very tough for Tennessee, obviously to play Alabama and Georgia on the schedule every year, but I think Tennessee is going to be pretty explosive on the offensive side of the football. Obviously, I have no concerns whatsoever there for the offense. Josh Heupel is getting it done, and then also Nico Maliava. We'll see how good he's going to be in this first year as a starter. So I got Tennessee here at number 5, and then Ole Miss comes in here at number 4. A lot of talent on this roster here. Ole Miss I think is going to be a little bit better on the defensive Texas side of the football. Back to Tennessee, though, I did say the offense was going to be really good for them, but the defense, I think, will also be pretty solid as well for the Volunteers. So now let's go back to Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss's defense could be a little bit more solid than it was, over the course of the years that Lane Kiffin's been there. And then, of course, the offense. I'm not really too concerned about the offense. This team absolutely loaded in the transfer portal. And again, Lane Kiffin knows how to get it done, especially when he recruits and everything in the transfer portal. And then offensively, Jackson Dart, we'll see how good he's going to be. He might be a Heisman candidate, so you never know. Ole Miss, though, at number 4, and then LSU comes in here at number 3. I do have LSU beating Ole Miss in the regular season matchup. That's the reason why you're seeing LSU ahead of Ole Miss. You look at this LSU team, I'm definitely concerned about the offense, of course, with Jaden Daniels now gone to the NFL. They're going to have a new quarterback and everything, but this will be a very talented team, on both sides of the football. They might not just be the same offense and, same explosive offense that they've been in the last couple years. But you look at the defense, though, I think they'll be pretty solid on that side of the football. They got multiple guys coming back on that defense, so we'll see how good the defense is going to be this time here for LSU, as it was definitely not a really good defense last year. So I got LSU here at number 3, and then Texas comes in here at number 2. First year in the SEC, I have them predicting to go 11-1, and then 7-1 here in the conference. Texas brings back Quinn Ewers at quarterback. The offensive side of the football should be very explosive with Steve Sarkisian calling plays and everything under his offensive background. The defense does have some question marks. They do lose quite a bit of talent from last year, but either way, on both sides of the football, this Texas team should be very talented. I do have them losing that one regular season game to Georgia, and speaking of Georgia, they come in here at the top. I have them predicting to go 12-0 and then 8-0 here in a conference play. Georgia, I think, is just the favorite to win the SEC this year. I know Georgia has a very tough schedule. Yes, they got to play Texas, Ole Miss, and Alabama all on the road this year, so it's very possible they can probably go 9-3, but I'm actually going to go with 12-0. I think this is a very talented team. Again, Carson Beck is back at quarterback. I think Carson Beck might be the favorite to win the Heisman as well, and Georgia is also my pick to probably win the national championship this year as well. So again, Georgia, I have them going 12-0 and then 8-0 here in the conference. So that brings us to Georgia versus Texas in the SEC championship based on the standings. So here it is right here. We got Georgia versus Texas. Possibly could be a rematch here from the regular season, depending on what happens. If Texas beats Georgia, Georgia will be out for revenge. But if Georgia beats Texas, Texas will be out for revenge on Georgia. I think this is a pretty even matchup. You look at both of these rosters, again, very talented. You got two very talented quarterbacks in Carson Beck and, of course, Quinn Ewers. And they're pretty, Carson Beck's not a veteran just like Quinn Ewers is, but I think both of these teams are pretty even. Talent-wise, I think Georgia might have a slightly talented roster than Texas does. I think this game does come down to the wire. Texas definitely will be out for revenge in this game, just like how I predicted the regular season matchup. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Georgia, like I said, has been I've been looking at this Georgia team since the month of January. I think this is kind of like a redemption year for the Bulldogs after missing out on the playoff from last year and definitely not winning a national championship, even though they were the most dominant team in the country. I think they're going to be pretty dominant this year. And so with that being said, it's a close game here in the conference championship. I'm going to go with Georgia here to knock off Texas. So I got Georgia winning the SEC championship in 2024. And also, those are my prediction standings here for the 2024 college football season here for the SEC Conference. And again, I am picking Georgia here to win the SEC championship for 2024. So with this win, they can probably automatically say they are the number 1 seed in the playoff. But again, those playoff predictions will be coming up on Friday. But again, that is my 2024 SEC football predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. So let me guys know what you think about these SEC predictions, and let me know down in the comments below who do you think is going to win the SEC championship as well this year, and also give me your standings down in the comments below for the SEC. And thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.